YouTube, what up? It's your boy Mr. Martin 405 back with another video, and today is Wednesday. So means it's Word Wednesday, man. So really trying to think about what to really drop every week. Really, I've just kind of been letting it come to me, which again has this week. So really what I want to touch on today, man, and really is to live the advice you give, man. Everybody that, you know what I mean, I come in contact with, whether it be, you know what I mean, co-workers, friends, family, whoever it is, you know, I wouldn't give anybody any advice that I myself either have not or would not use. So if I'm going to give someone some life advice based on conversation that we're having, you know, or me just trying to give an uplifting word, is going to be based on I either have exercised it or I am exercising it already. Because too often, man, people try to give people advice that they themselves either have not or would not use. So that's why I just say, man, like, you know, if you're going to give people that advice, live the advice you give. You know what I mean? If you can't live by it, don't give it. I would in no means give anybody any type of advice that I myself wouldn't use. I had a couple partners that, you know, I chop it up with here and there, you know, maybe going through this or that. And I've never been one to advocate, you know, leaving somebody or getting a divorce, the whole nine. You know, I'm all for, you know, trying to make things work, to whereas some people, you know what I mean, are more apt to give people the advice of, hey, you need to divorce us, you need to do this, that, and the other. Which again, that advice comes much easily to some people, or should I say the majority of us, even though I myself wouldn't give that advice. But it just came to mind based off of a sermon that I watched, where the pastor was basically saying, you know, throughout us being in relationships before we've, you know, ever decided to make that commitment on getting married, we've been practicing divorce for the majority of our lives. You know what I mean? You meet someone, you get to know them, you know, if you take it as far as moving in with that person, you know, and then things don't start going the way that you think they should, or it starts becoming more about you, and you get to thinking, oh, well, I'm not getting this from, you know, this arrangement or this relationship, so, you know, it's time for me to pack up my stuff and get up out of here. We've all been in that position, but you know, it makes the decision that much easier to decide that, hey, you know, when you get married to somebody, to make it that much easier to be like, all right, well, things aren't going as smoothly as I think that they should in this marriage, so it's time to bounce. You know what I mean? But again, that has never been, you know, my aim, and never been advice that I have given somebody. So the main advice that I give the majority of people, or should I say that I've been given recently, is speak positivity into your life, your situation, whether it be your finances, you know, your spiritual life, the way you think, physically, whatever it is, you know, speak positively. That may not be the really the situation that you're in now. You may not see that as of right now, but it's, you know what I mean, a constant reminder of, one, where it is that you want to be, and then two, you know, as the Bible says, you know, power of life and death are in the power of the tongue. You know what I mean? Can't really talk today. Tripping out. But yeah, some of the cats that I work with where, I was saying, man, I'm broke, man. I don't have, no, you're not. You just don't have the money right now. It's just like, we go to our job, whether you get paid every week, every 2 weeks, you know what I mean? You just haven't received your check yet, and that's why, I kind of start looking more at, people always tell me, hey, man, you rich, man, you got money, I'm not going to dispute that anymore, because it's not my aim or my goal to be rich. I want to be comfortable. I don't want to be in a situation to where, one, I have, and this is going to be a weird statement, but I never want to be in a situation or be in the type of lifestyle where I have too much money. You know what I mean? And to some people, that sentence doesn't go together. Most people's thinking is, oh man, you can never have too much money, which it just kind of depends on your threshold and what it is that you can handle. Me personally, I don't think I've gotten to that, position yet, which majority of us are probably in that same boat. Some of us just probably won't admit it. And I think that that's why we're in the position that we're in now, or why God hasn't given us that much of that financial blessing, is because we're not ready for that yet. Because like I've heard also, being in a position to where you can do what you want when you want, like say if tomorrow you were to have, $50 or $100 million, any issue that you currently have, it's going to magnify it that much more. So, if you, occasionally, drink here and there, or, you do this drug or that drug, you know what I mean? From what I've heard, and these are from people who have actually admitted to the problems and, the faults that they have. It's like it's basically just going to magnify whatever deficiency that you have at the moment. So, I believe looking back at where I had been financially to where it is that we are now, it's completely like night and day. But like they say, the more money you make, the more you're going to spend. So, I mean, me and my wife, we like nice things. So, you know what I mean? Spend a little bit more, I don't feel like we're outside of our means. But, I believe it took a period of going through some things to get to the position that we're at, that we're in now. So, but back to my original point of having too much money, to where it's like, in some cases it, may change you to a point to where you start acting differently towards people. And to all my people out there, whether it be I went to school with you, work with you, whatever the case is, y'all know who you are. To where, you stay 50 grand, you know what I mean? 100% to, true to who it is that you are, regardless of what it is that you have in your bank account. You know what I mean? Salute y'all, I applaud y'all, but, there are some folks out there where it's like, y'all have gotten a couple $100, you know what I mean? Last little stimulus check where it's like, I get to act in a certain type of way. My partner, Nate, that I work with, we were just talking about this the other day, man, about, somebody getting to a point to where they're better in a situation where it's like, there's some people who genuinely want to be in a relationship, and there's some people who need help. And you know what I mean? Getting to a point to where you can see that, and, and everything may be cool, and not saying, anything down on anybody that has placed themselves or was in that position or whatever, but it's like, bro, you let that be known in the get-go versus, just kind of jumping out there and acting like things are a certain way and they're the complete opposite, But, I digress. I just want to be comfortable. I never want to be in a position where, I feel like that's a little bit of weight for some people, to where it could put a strain on certain relationships and the whole nine. You look at some people who have millions of dollars, and entire families are dependent on that person or people. where constantly, hey man, let me get. And recently I've been watching a lot of podcasts, Mike Tyson's podcast, Hot Boxing with Mike, to where, like he said, you know, when he had all the money that he had, like he said he wasn't really happy. You know what I mean? He was just buying up a bunch of stuff, giving away money and the whole nine, you know, because it was almost kind of like that's what was expected of him, versus hearing him say, like, once he lost the money and certain relationships didn't work and friends walked away or whatever, he was like, that's when he was at his happiest. So some people will agree, some will disagree, but again, you know what I mean, that also comes from having, you know, a solid circle of people around you that, you know, are gonna have your best interest at heart. But back to my original point of living the advice you give, bro. Like, not only that, but just putting out that positive energy. You know what I mean? Don't get to a point to where you feel a certain type of way because somebody's at a different place in their life than you are. You know what I mean? You don't know what processes and what issues that they had to go through in order to get where they are. You know, you just may not have gotten to that, you know, that area of your life yet. You may not have completely gotten through that process. Like, there's still plenty that, you know, me and my wife plan on doing in the future. We probably would have wanted to be further along than we are, but again, it's part of the process. You know, I feel like every step that you go through, whether it's learning to be more patient, to be more grateful over what it is that you've been given, and not getting to a place of, you know, where you become complacent and you think that things are supposed to be given to you. I believe that, you know, a lot of that plays a part in hindering the process itself. And like I touched on in a previous video, man, just getting in a position of where you're becoming more of a blessing versus, you know, constantly looking for a blessing. Excuse me. But just getting to a point where, like I said, you look at life different. Look at everything differently. You don't look at the, you know, things like everybody else does. And that's my main thing. I never want to get to a place to where I'm doing what everyone else is doing. Because I feel like we were created to stand out more than we were to fit in with everybody else or fit into everyone else's way of thinking. At some point in time, you got to get to a point to where you're like, all right, well, I got to think about things a little bit different. There's some people that work a 9 to 5 their whole life, and they cool with that. They retire, you know, and it is what it is. You know, some other people, and this includes myself, to where it's like, yeah, you work a 9 to 5, you take care of your responsibilities as they come to you. But I would like to get to a point to where, you know, I have multiple streams of income to where I don't have to worry about, oh, well, I need to go punch this clock to make sure ends meet. You know what I mean? And it's not all about how much money I can put in my account, but it's being able to get into a position where you can be a blessing to somebody else. Working a 9 to 5, you may be able to do that, but I feel like that there'll, you know, be more options to be able to do that if, you know, work more for yourself. You know, versus going to a job where you may be making, you know, $17, $18, maybe even $20 an hour, versus doing certain stuff to where you can potentially be making more by the hour, you know. But just a short little video, man, to be able to just give somebody a word, be like, all right, before I give this advice to, you know, whoever it is that I'm giving it to, would this be something that I would actually put into place and listen to myself? And for me, that's a definite yes. You know what I mean? And always trying to see where someone is coming from versus just trying to see your side of things, but to actually try to place yourself in someone's shoes and say, okay, well, what would I actually do? Because again, I've been one to be in that situation and say, oh, man, I would never say what you would never do, because that's almost kind of like saying, hey, God, I dare you to put me in this situation, so therefore I can stand on those words. because there may be a point in time when you have to stand on that. So before you get to a point where you say what you would never do, think twice before you let the words jump off your lips. But again, as always, man, I appreciate y'all that have already subscribed. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Like, comment, share, the whole nine. Continue to come at y'all with these videos, man. Also jump in the comments, certain stuff that, you know what I mean, y'all want to hear back on, whether it be the Modification Monday videos, certain stuff y'all want to see in those, certain topics y'all want to touch on as far as Word Wednesday. And I still have yet to jump on Tech Thursdays. That has been a deciding process on if it's just going to be, if I'm going to do tech based on stuff that is car related or just tech period. So but as always, man, love y'all. Peace.